Medal of Honor Allied Assault is the greatest World War II FPS ever made. Period. First thing you might be thinking by seeing this video is, wow, another gaming channel on YouTube? This is going to be such a unique and informative experience, to which I'll respond, you're absolutely right. But there are some games that need deeper appreciation than what they already get, and that's what I'm here for. Now, onto the question that you're all thinking of. Dotrick, Medal of Honor was great for its time, but you can easily put Call of Duty World at War, Call of Duty 2, Brothers in Arms, Battlefield 1942 Red Orchestra, or hell, even the first Call of Duty. I mean, technically it is the next installment from the same developers. The core team moved away from EA and started Infinity Ward. Now I would agree with you that all those are great World War II games in their own right, but Medal of Honor Allied Assault paved the landscapes for all these games to exist in the first place, introducing gamers to a whole new type of historical-based FPS action. But let's get some background before we jump in head first. Medal of Honor was conceptualized after Steven Spielberg had finished directing Saving Private Ryan. He viewed the movie as an educational experience for people. He'd also watched his teenage son and his friends play GoldenEye on Nintendo 64, and he thought to himself, what if DreamWorks could build a World War II shooter and let gamers learn about the conflict through playing? And thus, Medal of Honor was born. Including the original from 1999, there have been 15 Medal of Honor games, with Medal of Honor Above and Beyond being the latest in the series. But enough about them. We're here to talk about Allied Assault. Allied Assault was released in 2002 with 2 expansions, one being Spearhead, released later that year, and Breakthrough in 2003. Allied Assault was met with universal acclaim across the board. But why? Was it the game's presentation of a world engulfed in world conflict? Was it the way the music enhanced the tone of each level? The run and gun action? Let's dive deep. When you boot up the game, you're treated to an old-school CGI cutscene taking place during the famous D-Day beach landing, a sign of things to come. You are then pleasantly placed in one of my absolute favorite menu screens. Here's my first point in how Allied Assault already one-ups many of its competitors. I mean, look at this. Your new game is located here at the map. The saves and mission medals received for completing hidden objectives located on the desk. Options at the radio. Multiplayer through the door. Much better presentation than the static image behind menu options that are seen in the World War II Call of Duties. This starts to build the atmosphere. You are in an Office of Strategic Services war room. And it kind of looks like it draws inspiration directly from Churchill's war room. Or maybe it is his war room and I have no idea what I'm talking about. After you select a new game, you get a view of a map of Western Europe. When you have new missions, they will appear here for replay. In total, there are 6 locations you get to travel to: an occupied town and airfield in Algeria, North Africa, a U-boat pen in Norway, Omaha Beach in Normandy, France, and the days following it, an undercover mission in the French countryside, a bombed-out Brittany, France, and finally, an assault on Fort Schmerzen in the Siegfried Line. The design and overall atmosphere vary wildly among these missions, always at different times of day, architecture, and color tones. While in Algeria, colors are warmer, with brown, beiges, and tans contrasted with the blue starry sky. In Norway, the industrial nature of the base and its steel and concrete megastructure contrast heavily with the white snow on the ground and the sunset-laden sky. Omaha and the subsequent days following are green and bright, to highlight the woodland and pasture nature of Bocage. It's similar to the next mission, only cool greens and blues along with fog are used to create this countryside rustic feeling while at night. In Brittany, it's mostly brick and concrete, interrupted by exposed vegetation of the surrounding area to tell the tale of a bombed out city. Finally, in the Siegfried Line, the snow surrounding German towns and facilities adds to an ethereal sort of feeling. The feeling is much like Norway, but it's much spookier, relying on lighting and sparse unit engagements for tense encounters. This mission definitely has the most variety than the other missions of the game. When starting a mission, you are treated to a slideshow with narration from Colonel Hargrove of the OSS. The OSS standing for the Office of Strategic Services, the progenitor to the modern-day CIA. He details what the mission will be and gives context to why you want to complete the objectives.
Yesterday, however, all contact with that agent was lost. The enemy's artillery positions remain intact, and the SAS officer's capture could compromise the entire operation.
But enough already with the window dressing. How does this thing play? Well, the answer is, it really depends. Allied Assault's control is tight. The controls are responsive and the shooting is incredibly satisfying. After playing through some of the World War II Call of Duties, I actually feel Allied Assault beats them when it comes to enemy reactions to getting shot, and the way the shots impact the soldier. To test this, we're going to go through the different World War II Call of Duty, starting with Call of Duty 1, followed by Call of Duty 2, World at War, and then finally Allied Assault, and then compare and contrast the different animations and reactions to getting shot. What did you notice about Allied Assault when compared to the World War II Call of Duties? It has much more variety in the reaction to getting shot, making shooting different limbs and locations much more expressive. What you'll also notice is this when your shot lands a hit. Anyway, it's like a popping sound, and the shot impact lets out this puff of smoke, which adds into the satisfaction of shooting the enemy. This, as well as the reaction to wounds, makes Medal of Honor the most satisfying feeling shooter out of all of the World War II games, in my opinion. The choice of weapons in Allied Assault is pretty limited, but each weapon serves their purpose, pretty much like any game. The levels are pretty fast, ranging from about 8 to 12 minutes in order to complete. You really never feel like a mission's going on for too long, except for Sniper Town, but we'll talk about that a little later. What makes Allied Assault stand out from its competition, though, is the way it handles gunfights. You feel open to move around. It may be linear somewhat on what the routes are to take to get to your objective, but rarely do fights turn to a shooting gallery. You're encouraged to be mobile. If you notice a lot of the times in the maps, there's not a lot of cover, speeding up gameplay here because it forces you to move. When you're constantly moving, firefights feel way more chaotic. But I don't think this game is just a run and gun shoot 'em up only. Allied Assault allows for a lot of player freedom within the world. It's disappointing they didn't take a lot of the systems they set up to the absolute limit, because with a few tweaks here and there, this game's gameplay would have been perfect. Something that does hamper the gameplay is the accuracy of your weapons, however. When shooting, you are given an arbitrary accuracy calculator that determines if bullets hit the target or not. For the most part, you won't really notice it, but when you do, it's extremely fucking aggravating. Speaking of aggravating, when you get shot by enemy troops, your screen goes into a frenzy, shaking all around. This makes it hard to aim. It makes it hard to pay attention to your HUD, especially with your health bar. Here are some other examples of details and choices that you can run into while playing the game.
Exactly what we want to know. Sooner you tell us, the easier things will be for you. I think you will find this very persuasive.
You saved my life, sir.
Kann ich bitte Ihre Papiere sehen? Entschuldigung.
Zeigen Sie mir Ihren Passierschein.
Welche Einheit sind Sie?
U-665 läuft um 20 Uhr aus.
Antworten Sie
Jeder,
mir.
der sich freimachen kann, sollte dabei sein und der mutigen Besatzung eine gute Fahrt wünschen.
Ich muss Ihre Ausweispapiere sehen. Sind Sie neu hier? Ich muss meine Vorgesetzten bekommen. War mein Fehler. What the hell are we doing here? Getting off this damn beast! Move! Move! Go! Go! You know the bomber didn't hit a thing! Not a damn thing! There's no way we're getting over there, sir! Not with those MG-42s! There's gotta be a way up through those bluffs! Where the hell are the others? There are no others! Sir, where's the others? The Reaper's destroyed! We're at the bottom of the channel! Either way, we're on our own! Can't take the beach without tank support, sir! All we can do here is die! Keep moving, soldier! You can either stay here and die in the sand, or you can get yourself to the seawall. Follow me!
Here's a tidbit that I just want to pause the video for and appreciate. It's the barrels. They didn't have to spend any time on this, but they did. You're sometimes dropped into a mission with a silenced pistol, allowing you to go stealthy if you don't want to go in guns blazing. Heck, even some missions allow you to sneak around if you don't let an enemy get a shot off. The stealth system is not that fleshed out, so when things would make sense for you to be hidden, you're really not. They also place units in certain choke points, so they won't allow you to sneak past. But the fact that you can skip certain engagements makes it a lot more interesting than the shooting galleries you get in the other World War II games. Speaking of shooting, let's look at how some of the other weapons handle. This is one of those games that allows the player to collect more weapons than the modern day 2-weapon system that most games use today. The pistol's just a piece of garbage. I know it's just here for the sake of having the famous 1911, but there's no reason to use it other than you're out of ammo, and that never happens. Now the high standard silence, now that packs a punch. Now we're talking. You may have to chamber around for each shot, but good thing it kills in one shot. The M1 Garand is nice and packs a punch when hitting enemies from mid to long distances. It also has that satisfying when reloading that every Garand needs. That's right, I said Garand, not Garand. Read John C. Garand's letter to the editor for American Rifleman magazine in 1943. The Springfield Sniper has such a powerful sound when using it, and gives you a clue to the damage that it's going to do. What you'll notice with a lot of the sound design for the weapons is that they kind of give an indicator to how powerful they are. They have very distinct sounds as well. It really allows the player to differentiate between the weapons that are being used. I kind of have a pet peeve with modern day gun design because most of them sound exactly the same, and yes, I get it, you want that bass boosted, deep, thunderous sound that is more realistic, yeah. But there's just something about having distinctive gun sounds that adds an extra layer of satisfaction to shooting at someone. Maybe I'm just crazy. Moving on, for the submachine guns, you have the Thompson and the MP40. The only real difference between the two is how they look and the ammo capacity. They're great for short to medium range engagements. Thompson fires a bit faster, so I prefer it when available over the MP40. Now let's talk about the BAR and the MP44. These guns are the closest thing you'll get to a modern day assault rifle. These weapons pretty much work at any range, but even though they excel in every regard, it doesn't take away from the use of a submachine gun at short ranges, or obviously a sniper rifle in very long engagements. The frag grenades are the absolute worst, however. They are hard to aim, hard to throw exact distances, but when you do toss that perfect grenade, it's awesome. The final weapon slot is for the launchers, which you'll rarely have to use except for a couple of sections that require you to destroy enemy armor. Now the shotgun. Boy, do I absolutely love this thing. Many people seem to believe that a game's quality is dependent on the usefulness of its shotgun. If that's true, then this shotgun says all I need to say about this game. It has this massive spread, and you pump it really fast. It's kind of hard to explain, you'll know when you play the game for yourself. But just check out this footage of me just tearing through these goons. Now that we've talked a little bit about the presentation and how the gameplay functions, let's take a look at that story. You play as Lieutenant Mike Powell, a member of the 1st Ranger Battalion and a lone OSS operative in certain parts of the game. The overall narrative revolves around Powell going around to different locations stealing important German documents and blueprints or destroying important weaponry and new technology. The only real overarching story is happening in the background, and it's not character-based but more world-based. You could ignore the story altogether and it wouldn't change your enjoyment of the game at all. But for those of you that pay attention, it's cool to see how they try to put it together and fit the timeline of the war. The first mission in Algeria has you and your squad on a mission to save an imprisoned SAS operative, Major Jack Grillo. After saving Grillo, you join him on his original mission destroying specific weaponry that can hamper the Allies' invasion. The major set piece of the mission has you gun on a .30 caliber on the back of Grillo's jeep and destroy German planes at the airfield. Your next mission in Norway has you link up with Grillo in an effort to destroy the Naxos prototype, which was a new type of sonar system at the time. You make your way from outside, sniping guards and taking out German shepherds, to sneaking around the facility donning a German officer's uniform. You destroy the prototype, blow a U-boat, and you shoot your way out of the freaking beehive of MP-40 wielding Nazis. The third mission is the most famous in this game, and arguably one of the most famous set pieces that have been copied endlessly by war shooters ever since. The Omaha Beach Landing. Even though the section with you on the beach is only about 8 minutes long, the feeling of storming the beach really emulates the film you've seen depicting this event. It's got everything. Guys getting shot as soon as the ramp lowers, people argue about what to do, engineers trying to blow up the hedgehogs, medics taking care of injured soldiers, guys getting blown up, guys too scared to move up, radio operators asking for air support. Then, after you get to the shingle, you're asked to grab the Bangalore torpedoes that the soldier was carrying with. You have definitely noticed already, this is pretty much the exact same as Saving Private Ryan's opening scene, but to have all this detail on a level, it adds to that realism. It gives weight to everything that is going on. No other World War II shooter has a landing scene with this much scale and player agency. I've seen reviews from other YouTubers shitting on this scene because it's either too hard or has a dumb setup. I don't get it. You wait for the machine gun to stop shooting at you, and then you advance cover. It's not that hard. For the others that say the scene is just dumb in general, I disagree. I liken this section to an interactive cutscene that you can die in. What other experience could you have on Normandy Beach other than moving cover to cover, worrying if your head is going to be taken off at any second? You have plenty of player agency to move up this beach, so I would say a lot of the critiques of this level are unfounded. Another cool thing about this section is that I think it was meant to be longer. The level usually ends here after killing the Germans in the MG positions, but if you no-clip outside, look at the extensive trenches and objective markers on these batteries. You can even see a spawn point for Germans to come out of the building after you head to the door, indicating there was going to be one more objective to complete. Anyway, later in the mission you start linking up with airborne soldiers to destroy Nebelwerfers, Flak 88s, and other gun batteries around the French countryside. The next mission has you saving a downed pilot, linking up with the French resistance, destroying railway guns, tanks, and stealing plans for Germany's next great Tiger tank. The mission after has you go through one of the most agonizingly annoying missions you will ever play in a game. You have either played it yourself or heard of it. The first and second section of the Day of the Tiger mission, also known as Sniper Town. You've never seen snipers this good in a game. I used to hate this mission completely and just never replay it at all, but when making this video, I actually came to like it. The design of the level is really cool, and if you're well trained with the Springfield and can keep your medic alive, you should be able to get through this rather easily. The next section is awesome, and has you and your crew in a Tiger tank going through destroying other tanks and gun batteries. The incredible details in this section. I love that when you shoot a building, there's some kind of destructibility, if only scripted. It adds the chaos when building debris is flying everywhere. The other thing is something that Call of Duty actually adopted, and that when destroying one of these tanks, you'll see the crew jump out of it. I feel that a lot of games don't think about the crew members of armored vehicles a lot, so seeing that the developers thought to add animations of crew members jumping out of the tank either unharmed, injured, or too injured to go on is incredible for 2002. The final mission has you doing sabotage and search and destroy at Fort Schmerzen in the Siegfried Line. I won't spoil anything here, because this mission is incredible and has so much variety. A true worthy finale to Allied Assault. I don't know if I've sold you on this game yet. If I haven't, you've most likely left already. But for those of you who are interested and need a final selling point, or those of you who are sold already and just want a final dopamine hit before the video ends, I'm gonna finish it off with a bang. This is the best soundtrack to go with a war shooter. Done. End of discussion. There are good music pieces in other war games, but no other soundtrack has this kind of consistent quality through all of its tracks. While a lot of music in games is seen as something that just needs to be there to keep the game interesting or keep it lively, Medal of Honor's soundtrack, like Deus Ex and Halo, are active participants in the action. Every section of the level is accompanied by a score that sets the mood and tone of every interaction you have with the game, and there is a good reason for that. Allied Assault's soundtrack was composed by Michael Giacchino, which might not mean anything to you in name alone, but if you recognize any of these small-time films, then you know his work. It's pretty interesting that his work on Medal of Honor was the first thing that got Giacchino popular enough to get into television and film in the first place. Let's listen to some of these tracks within the context of which they are meant to be played. Let's take the first mission for example. See if you can hear what I'm about to explain in the music. You're charging uphill towards a German-occupied North Algerian town with your squad mates after your sneaky plan goes tits up. But something dwells in this town that might make things turn for the worse. This song plays for the next section. You are alone, in the heart of that very town you felt so confident about. Danger around every corner. You see American POWs. You're in their territory. No room for mistakes. At the climax of the mission, when you're on the jeep destroying enemy aircraft, you're treated to this piece. Wait, do you hear that? Do you remember the music I played for you earlier in the video? The main theme of the game? Giacchino uses the leitmotif in the majority of his pieces. The leitmotif is defined as a recurrent theme throughout a musical or literary composition associated with a particular person, idea, or situation. Giacchino will weave the main theme into pieces of music throughout the game, playing mostly when you're in dire or exciting instances. Let's look at the next mission where you're sneaking into a Norwegian sub-base. You start off in the outskirts, looking in at the base. It's quiet. The snow lays in white, pillowy piles all around you. As you get closer to the middle of the base, the music begins to change. It gets deeper as you approach the cement monstrosity. When undercover inside the base, you get this insidious music. You're inside the belly of the beast. No turning back now. You know your mission. Finally, when exiting the base, you are treated to the leitmotif again in your desperate escape. Let's look at the section where you're blasting away baddies in your stolen Tiger tank. Hear that low rumbling music as you trudge along? The leitmotif again. Come on, dude. This soundtrack is so sick, highlighting the raw power you would feel rolling along in a tank like this. Just for fun, let's listen to the music of the final section of the game because I love it and you're getting me excited. You're fighting through the fort, killing German soldiers everywhere. The base is falling apart on top of you. You don't know if it will ever end. Will you be able to make it through? You can. You have to get out of here alive to ensure that your mission is successful. You can't die yet. The use of the leitmotif is at its best in this piece. The exclamation mark to everything you have done up until this point. Now that was a blast. You've got to admit that. Come on. But oh, this isn't the end. I lied about this being the last dopamine hit. We still have to look at the expansions. Don't get out of your seat yet. There's more to come. The Spearhead expansion was released later in 2002, adding on a 3-mission campaign focusing more on the later part of World War II. The first of these missions has you parachuting alongside the 101st Airborne into the Normandy countryside. You miss your drop zone, and you link up with British Airborne. You follow them on their search and destroy mission to take out a bridge that is carrying German supplies to help them defend against the invading Allied troops. You also get to kill a high-profile German commander on your way there, 2 for the price of 1. The next mission has you in the Battle of the Bulge in the Ardennes forest, destroying German weaponry, gathering supplies, and holding the line against an epic German counteroffensive. And to finish it off, a stupid mission where you're somehow chosen and sent alone to aid the Russians in fighting the Germans in Berlin, where you're once again destroying key targets and finishing off the Third Reich in your tank. Don't get me wrong, this mission is tons of fun, but come on, there's no way. I have no idea why they went this route in this particular way, but the point is they wanted to do something where you play as different factions with the same player character, so you can experience the different perspectives of World War II. I feel this might have been the inspiration for dividing the original Call of Duty campaigns to an American, British, and Russian section. Even though the Spearhead expansion may have been made by a different team entirely, they must have discussed it when they were all together in making the original Allied Assault. Anyway, back on topic. Spearhead has a completely different feeling from Allied Assault. You feel it almost immediately when starting a mission. You are treated to old war footage with Gary fucking Oldman narrating the thoughts of the new protagonist, Sergeant Jack Barnes.
Got us surrounded again. The poor bastards. Sergeant Jack Barnes. December 1944.
You also get these cool art pieces that set the stage for the tone of each level as opposed to this massive letter you get in the main game. I don't know if it's concept art or not, but it's really cool. Spearhead is more or less the same gameplay-wise, except there has been a few additions. You get to use British weapons, such as the Webley revolver, Stenmark, and the Lee Enfield. You also get to use the Russian weapons, the Moisey Nagant, PPSH, Nagant revolver, and the SVT are all at your disposal for the last section of the campaign. You can now melee with any weapons in your arsenal, other than your sniper rifle of course. This really does help out when you're fighting units in close quarters. In the original Allied Assault, you can only do this with your pistol. Another welcome gameplay change is the ability to cook grenades. This for sure makes tossing these bad boys just a little more useful. The other thing added is the ability to peek around corners, which was only available in the multiplayer part of the game. Spearhead as a whole feels way more cinematic than the main game, often standing you in one place to make sure you witness a scene or give you your orders. I didn't really notice this much as a kid, but looking at the game now, it tries way too hard to have a cinematic experience. Even though Allied Assault is guilty of this as well, at least it always kept the player in control during these moments, instead of locking your movement. Gary Oldman's performance as Jack Barnes, on the other hand, is just fantastic. The way they set the scene with his narration over old war footage, it really gives you that reason for completing objectives and gives the main character, well, character.
Its code name, Operation Overlord. Word is we're landing troops, tanks, and supplies on Normandy. Our first move in pulling Europe out of Hitler's fist. The assault's a few hours away now. More than 7 divisions are gearing up to hit the beach.
Just by doing this, the story feels a little more impactful and a little more personal over Allied Assault. So overall, it's actually a pretty cool expansion that adds some interesting stuff and some pretty lame stuff. If you liked the cinematic parts of Allied Assault, then you will definitely like this expansion. Allied Assault, along with the Spearhead expansion, makes this the greatest World War II FPS.
You're forgetting Breakthrough.
What?
You have to do it.
But why?
It's still an expansion. You gotta cover it.
Fine. The Breakthrough expansion was released in 2003 to much more scrutiny than its predecessors. It's not hard to see why. Funny thing is, I actually remember liking this one the most when I was a kid. I loved the weapon variety, and using Italian weapons was super cool considering most of us have been using the standard American, British, German, and Russian guns in World War II shooters. As mentioned earlier, this game adds Italian weapons to the mix as well as the Bren gun and the Delisle silenced carbine. The Italian weapons have cool, intricate designs that are really fun to use. You get to use the stylish Beretta, the Carcano, and the Moschetto being the most useful out of the bunch. This is the best submachine gun in the main game and the expansions, boasting the largest clip for the most power. The missions in this one just don't hit as hard, especially as you shift from North Africa where the game begins and heads into Italy. You play as Sergeant John Baker as you start out in Northern Africa like in the first mission of Allied Assault, but taking place in the Kasserine Pass instead. The Tunisia mission starts out with a bang, with you fighting through this sandstorm, commandeering a tank, and scuttling Flak 88s that have been pounding the Allied forces. I don't know what it is about this section, but it's insanely atmospheric. Those colors, man. You then link up with an armored squadron as it sweeps for mines in the Kasserine Pass. This level is sick. I love this section so much because it shines light on things the Allies actually had to do during World War II that aren't just rip-offs of scenes from Saving Private Ryan or Band of Brothers. The next level has you hop on a rowboat and make your way to a fort to rescue British prisoners. Until this point, I'd felt like there was something wrong with Breakthrough that was nagging at me. Breakthrough felt slower than the previous two. I couldn't quite place it, but this mission, it finally hit me. Ammo. And no, I don't mean fewer bullets and magazines. I mean enemies will rarely drop their weapons, period. Look at this. What the hell, dude? And I swear to you, I had ammo for the first half of this mission, but by the time you make it up these stairs, you are completely out. You end up just running around wildly whipping enemies with your weapons. And trust me, it's not nearly as fun as it sounds. After saving them, you link up with Klaus Neffler, an undercover OSS agent looking to infiltrate and destroy a battleship at Point Carriere. To my surprise, I saw a uniform. Oh, it's gonna be Norway all over again, baby. Let's go undercover. When you finally get to the location where you get to work your undercover magic, it's a little disappointing. You get a couple cool interactions here, but mostly it serves as a quick undercover mission turned shoot fest. In comparison to the subbase, it doesn't have that daunting presence in the slightest. Look at this. What is this? Norway gives true power to the German army, to the Third Reich. This just looks like a cool set piece that's fun to shoot bad guys in, which granted, it is. It absolutely is. Especially when this boat flips and you fight through it while it's flipped over. Beautiful. Anyway, you regroup with Neffler and fight your way out of the town. The next mission has you on your way to Sicily for Operation Husky. You start out on your glider before things go foobar. You destroy anti-aircraft guns and Flak 88s that would hamper further glider landings. I feel like I've said this a million times already. They really could have thought of other cool objectives to do, but hey, it's what we got. You then get an Indiana Jones homage in this motorcycle scene where you commandeer a jeep with your buddy here. You sneak into an airbase and sabotage the fighters. I know I said Spearhead was cinematic, but holy shit, look at this. Everything I've shown you so far is like you're playing a fucking movie. For the next section, you link up with American paratroopers in this vineyard. You move on to this building where you have to defend against tanks using a mortar. This section is so difficult because the only way to destroy the tanks is through properly handling the mortar firing arc. Overall, Sicily is definitely the weakest mission in the expansion. For your final mission, you move on to Italy. Here, you aid a medic in a desperate mission to save wounded soldiers in the bombed out town. This section feels a lot like Sniper Town. Not as unforgiving, mind you, but you have way less ammo to compensate. You are then instructed to take out one of those famous German railway guns. This mission is an anomaly. It is super short, almost like it was meant to be a demo for the expansion. It has so many epic moments crammed in like a 6-minute mission. You ambush a munitions convoy, steal plans for the German defense of Anzio from a house, kill the crew and detonate the charges on the railway gun. You then hop on your railway armored car, going on a rampage until you reach the end. Again, did I say the expansions were way too cinematic? Oh, I did? I take that back. This is as realistic as things could possibly get. For the finale, you start off by running ammo to the machine gun crews defending the area. You move on to the castle where you go on a shotgun rampage. Hell yes! You are then told that you're needed to hold off enemy forces while the radio operator gets the communication with the Allied bombers back up. This section is hell. It's hell. It's so much lamer in comparison to the other endings. It's a literal tower defense section. Come on, dude. Allied Assault's ending is this epic escape. At least Spearhead has you in Berlin, signifying some sort of conclusive event. But seriously, holy shit. Think of all the things you have to keep track of here in this section. You have to watch out for the sappers, the other infantry with both machine guns and rifles shooting at you, and the Panzerschrecks in the distance. To manage all three is going to take some serious skill. Then you're notified by the radio operator, it's time to hit it. You radio into the bombers, make your escape, and watch as that horrible castle is laid to waste. Then boom, cut to credits. You may have already noticed that I haven't mentioned music at all for either of these expansions. That's because the use of the music is the exact same as the original. Giacchino works his magic yet again, composing a few more tracks, and the game reuses music where it makes sense within the narrative. So we're all set on that front. Overall, Breakthrough has some interesting set pieces, I'll give it that. And gameplay wise, has a lot of what you loved before, except for that ammo issue. But it just feels like a cash grab at the end of the day. Considering it's packaged together with the main game and Spearhead, I would still recommend a playthrough if you're still needing a Medal of Honor fix. All of these different aspects of the main game, as well as the expansions, put together the greatest World War II shooter experience ever made. From the tight gunplay, exciting set pieces, and freedom to complete certain objectives the way you want to the insanely epic soundtrack, Medal of Honor Allied Assault cemented itself in gaming history. Even though most have forgotten it or have never heard of it in the first place, let this video and the many like it serve as its monument. A monument to the predecessor of many of your favorite games, as well as the game that served as the inspiration to one of the world's most iconic franchises. Love it or hate it, you cannot deny its effect on gaming and pop culture as a whole. Maybe one day, we will see Medal of Honor make its glorious return to PC and console in the form of a next-gen World War II shooter. And yes, you morons will complain that we've already had millions of World War II shooters. Yeah, like fucking 13 years ago. Battlefield 5 was a disappointment, and COD World War II is as forgettable and lame as it gets. Yeah, there's Postscriptum and that other one, but talk about hard to get into. I want a true successor with modern graphics, rebooting Medal of Honor, and taking away the crowns from both Call of Duty and Battlefield. It won't ever happen though, as long as these absolute buffoons still own it. But a man can dream though. If you made it this far, you deserve a fucking medal. I've never made anything like this before, and I might not end up making anything else, but for those of you who enjoyed, thank you. I really didn't know what I wanted this video to be, a review or something else entirely, but it ended up being more of a love letter, and I'm glad I'm sticking with that. Medal of Honor Allied Assault is available on GOG and Origin for like $10. Absolute bargain prices, but if you are a true penny pincher, it goes up for like $2.50 on sale. That's like a cup of coffee, come on now. If any of you are interested and want to try the game out for yourselves, let me know if you want a video showing you how to properly get max settings and download, at least in my opinion, simple mods to increase your enjoyment of the game. Because without some of these fixes, the game can look a little jank. There are plenty of other YouTubers you can watch to see how to do it, but you know you can trust me to get you up to speed. I know I'm asking a lot here, but this is my first real video. I was wondering if any of you watching would be willing to write what I can improve on in the future, as well as anything you liked. God, anyway, enough from me. Thank you all for watching. Now get out of here.